Dude, are you kidding me? You want me to go through there? I think you should go through there. Hey gang, welcome back to our channel. I'm Paul with Stud Pack, and Jordan and I are back here at my mom's house on this emergency project. Gang, my mom, she is 91 years old. She recently took a spill and broke her hip. She went to the hospital and got all fixed up, and now she's at a rehab hospital for about another week and a half. And we said, you know what? This is the perfect opportunity to get in her house, rip out the old, unsafe, unusable bathtub that was leaking, causing damage to the home, and install a modern curbless shower that is safe and easy for her to use. So in our previous video, we tore out the tile surround on these three walls, tore out the deck tub and a wall that was right here, and we had a few surprises along the way. Make sure you go back and catch that video if you haven't seen it already. But in today's video, we're going to show you how to repair this rotten framing, how to lower this subfloor to accommodate a curbless shower, and we're also going to build a wall right here. And we're not only going to show you how we do all that, we're going to show you the whys too. So if you enjoy seeing the hows and the whys on this channel, make sure you get down below, smash that like button for us, subscribe if you haven't already. But for right now, let's grab our tools and get started. Stupid thing kept jabbing me in the back. Not anymore. Looks like it wasn't even glued. There we go. More quality work. All right, we got that tub spout out of the way, cut the P-trap out of my way, and we cut all the blocks out of my way. Here's all the rot that occurred because of the failed joint between the tub and the tile wall. The 6x6 pressure treated sill, it's in perfect shape. This 2x10 rim joist, it's pretty good out here, but on the top, it's gone. These 2x10 joists are fine. Obviously the subfloor is gone and the OSB sheathing is rotten. Now beyond the sheathing, I can see the tar paper, and then over here I can see the back of the hardy plank siding. Now I would really like to repair the rim joist and the sheathing today, but that repair is best made from the outside of the building. And on the outside right here, that's my mom's back porch, which she loves. And this house is only accessible by stairs, so I know that within the next few months, Jordan and I are probably going to be coming back here, ripping out that back deck and building a ramp for her. At that time, we'll pull off the hardy plank, pair the OSB and the rim joist from the outside. Today's goal is to repair the framing on the inside. What that means is the subfloor and this sill. That's our first step. Let's get started. All right guys, we've got it all cleaned up, and now we are getting into the nitty gritty on this repair. Now once we got the vacuum in here, this rim joist, it's this one right here. It's perpendicular to the floor joist. It's actually a little worse than I thought it was. It's not a lot worse, but it is a little worse. And remember, when we pull that deck down to build the ramp for my mom, then we'll be able to properly repair this sheathing and the rim joist from the outside. Now we get a lot of comments about this mold on these studs right here. We were originally just going to treat the mold and put in a new sill plate right here. But the bottoms of these studs have actually wicked up some of the moisture. The nails are completely rotten and rusted away. So I think the plan is we're going to go ahead and come up here, go 1, 2, 3, 4, remove this portion. That will allow me to cut this sill plate back a little bit farther. If I get my screwdriver in here, go till it stops. Look at that. If I remove this stud, I can make another flush cut and hopefully get back to some good wood right there. So why don't we grab our square, make a cut on each of these 4, and cut those out of our way. Now, if you're worried about the roof load and what's happening, we've got a total shear wall right here. So the roof load's being transferred over there into this corner. I mean, there's nothing here anyway, right? It's not being held up now. The shear wall's taking care of that for us. 3 studs, I'm not worried about it. You get into 4, 5 studs, 8 feet, then you gotta be concerned. But this is just a tiny addition right here, less than 10 feet wide. I'm totally comfortable with this. So let's cut these studs out of our way, start rebuilding. This blade says multi-material. It'll cut nails, but I'm not a multi-millionaire. So I switched to a different blade that we've cut nails with before. And now we're gonna get in here between the sheathing and the stud and cut the nails and pull that out. All right, any section of these 4 studs that had mold on them or rot at the bottom, we cut it out of there. Now, hang on a second. I already see you heading down to the comment sections. Let me know that, hey, you're not supporting the roof now, the ceiling's gonna sag or whatever. And you're probably also headed to the comment section, talk about this laser line running across my face. But we did set up the laser and we're gonna show you that this wall is not sagging at all. Check it out. I'm gonna go up to the ceiling right here in the corner, and I'm just above 74.5 to the bottom of that laser beam. This is hard to do. All right, I'm at 74.75. So remember, our laser line is level, so this corner of the ceiling is a 1/4 inch higher than this corner of the ceiling. So hopefully the middle is going to be right in between those two numbers, like around 74 5/8, and boom, we're right there. So I'm guaranteed, I'm positive, right, that this is not sagging because we cut out these studs. But maybe you don't have a shear wall, and maybe you have a 2nd or 3rd floor up there and there's a lot of weight. What you do, just do one at a time. Take out this rotten stud, fix it. Take out this one and fix it. And if it was sagging, you got your laser line, you know, hey, this is sagging a 1/4 inch, right? Cut this stud a 1/4 inch longer, jack that up where it belongs. And the other thing I'm always kind of wary of is I don't want a hinge effect on my repair. In other words, if I had a very long wall, 8, 10, 12 or longer, I would make all these cuts at different heights. So I didn't have a joint in the middle of that wall, and that wall would tend to do this. Does that make sense? Hope that does. Let's go out to the saw, take all our measurements, cut all our wood, and start rebuilding this piece of wall right here. All right, guys, that's what we're duplicating, right? Subfloor first on top of our floor framing system, and then the sill plate. Let's check the fit. Perfect. Now, what I'm gonna do on this step, I'm just gonna put one screw here, 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 basically into each of the 5 studs. The rim joist is rotten. The screw's not gonna grab. When we come back later and repair the rim joist, then we can fasten this down at that time. But these 5 screws are gonna be plenty. Let me grab the drill, put those in, and we're on our way. All right, now let's put our sill in here. Back in the demo video, I said I was gonna put in a pressure treated sill, but none of this is pressure treated. This 6x6 is, but none of this above is pressure treated, so there's really no point in having that pressure treated. So let's screw that down, and we'll measure for these 4 studs, head out to the saw and cut them. Got that wall all patched up, and off camera we went ahead and trimmed our plywood back. Trimmed it here, flush with the piece we put in there. That was just a little piece that was on top of this joist. We cut it off. The tile setter wanted this cut off under the doorway to the shower, and we removed this piece over here. That's all done. Our next step is to start cutting these joists to accommodate our shower pan, which is going to be a little bit lower than the floor, to accommodate a curbless shower, so this blends perfectly smooth into the shower from the main floor. Now, we had a lot of comments about using a linear drain. Jordan and I love those things, but those things are bucks, gang. And the other issue we're having, the main issue, supply chain. We can't get anything right now. We can't even get the valve we wanted for 4 to 6 weeks. So the Schluter drain in the middle is in stock locally. We can do that, and that's what we're gonna do. But remember, my mom's gonna be back here in about 10 days, and this has to be ready for her. So now that we have the decision made on what type of drain, We're going to put one in the middle. Now we can determine how much we have to cut off of each of these joists. So let's do the math, and we're going to show you exactly how we do that. Now you might be tempted to come in here and cut 3 or 4 inches out of the top of each joist, throw one big piece of plywood down, and build your new shower pan on top of that. But check it out. We want to preserve the integrity of these joists as much as we can. So here's a little trick. Instead of putting the subfloor on top of the joist, we're going to set it inside the joist. And that's going to save us 3/4 of an inch of this wood. We have to cut 3/4 of an inch less out of it. And that's going to be huge. So let's grab the level and do the math and see exactly how much we have to cut off of each joist. This shower is 6 foot wide, longest dimension, and the drain's going to be in the middle. That means I got 3 feet from this wall to the drain and from that wall to the drain. Industry standard for a shower floor, they want 1/4 inch of fall per foot. So imagine this piece of plywood is going to be our new subfloor under our shower. It's going to go somewhere in here, and that's what we have to figure out. But it's very easy, gang. You just have to add together 3 numbers. First number you need to know is the thickness of your pre-slope or your mortar bed, your sub-base, whatever you call it where you live. Manufacturer's recommendations for a minimum thickness at the drain, that's where it's thinnest, right, is 3/4 of an inch. Any thinner than that, it doesn't have any structural integrity. You don't want it to crack right here. It's at the drain, you want it strong. So our first number, 3/4 of an inch for our pre-slope at the drain. Our second number, well, it's also going to be 3/4. On your shower, it might be different. It's 3/4 on this shower, because remember we talked about that pitch, 1/4 inch per foot, and we have 3 feet between this wall and the middle of the drain. 3 times 1/4 is 3/4. If you only had 2 feet in your shower, it'd only be 1/2 inch. So that's our second number. Our first number was 3/4 for our sub base. Our second number is 3/4 for our pitch. Now we're at 1.5 inches. What's our third number? Well, it's the thickness of this tile. We actually found this exact same tile, and we're going to let it flow continuously into the shower to our drain. And it's pretty thin, about 1/4 inch. So if I add 1/4 inch to our previous number of 1.5 inches, I'm at 1.75 inches. So why don't we round that up to 2 inches? Why? Well, we're going to have some thin set, we're going to have some waterproofing membrane, things like that. So 2 inches gives us a little bit of wiggle room for all those factors together. So now that we know we need 2 inches of difference between the top of our tile and the top of our plywood, now we can determine how much to cut off of each joist. So to get that magical number we're after, I don't even need the level. We can just use this edge right here. I'm going to put this plywood against the joist and use my tape measure. So now the top of the plywood is 2 inches below the top of my tile. So all I have to do is remove this much of the joist. And how much is that? It's only 3/4 of an inch, gang. So I'm super stoked about that. By just cutting off 3/4 of an inch of this 2x10, I'm not altering the structural integrity very much, and I'm lowering this plenty to accommodate our pre-slope. Alrighty, gang, we're almost ready to cut, but not quite yet. There's a little bit more math we got to do, but it is super easy compared to what we just did. Because what we're doing right now is going to determine the success of this whole project, right? Our framing's got to be right so the tile is nice and flat and square and parallel. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to let this circular saw ride on this 2x4 to help guide me straight. It would be very difficult for me to hold it and freehand that line, and I can't even see it from where I'm standing. So you notice the top of this 2x4 is not 3/4 of an inch down from the top of the 2x10. It's more. So how do we determine that? Well, first we unplugged our circular saw. I'm going to pull up the guard, and I'm going to measure the distance from the side of the blade to the edge of the shoe. This whole thing is called the shoe, and that number is 1.5 inches. Now, how much did we say we're going to cut off each joist? 3/4. 1.5 inches plus 3/4 is 2.25. I grabbed my combination square and I set it at 2.25. It's going to make the measuring so much easier. I hook it there, put the 2x4 to the bottom of the blade, drive a screw, do the same thing there, and I've got it locked in. Now we're ready to start cutting some wood. I'm going to put on my glasses, hearing protection, cut this one, and do the same thing all the way across.
Is the blade sharp?
It feels sharp. Alright, gang, I thought this blade was sharp, and it was, but I think I ruined it when I hit this mortar right here. Called up Jordan's little brother. He was at home. I got a 3-pack of brand new blades. He's gonna run them over here real fast. So while we're waiting on him, why don't we take advantage of the time and go outside and start cutting some 2x4s. Why do I need 2x4s? Remember, this plywood's gonna sit on the side of the joist. I need something to support it. This is a perfect dimension, 4 feet. I got a bunch of 8-footers outside. Let's go cut 5 of them in half and we'll be ready to go when those new saw blades get here.
Hey, what's going on? Studpack tool delivery service for when you forget the important stuff.
Cool, and you're in uniform.
Yeah, I know.
Awesome.
Studpack.com.
Thanks so much.
Oh, no problem.
Appreciate it.
No problem.
Thanks, doggy.
Oh, gotcha.
Cool, man. Got the new blade on there, and while we were waiting on Spencer to bring us the new blades, Jordan and I cut all the 2x4s, and we had more time, so we went ahead and cut all the plywood as well. It's stacked up right here, ready to go. All we have left to do now, make all our cuts, and we can put this thing together like a Lego kit. Let's go.
Let's get it.
All right, we got all those cut. A little bit of a project. My saw was acting up, even with a fresh blade. And I think it's all these nails, gang. Look at that one. Plenty of nails in this wood. So what happens when a circular saw blade gets dull? It doesn't want to cut straight, right? It wants to wander. So my technique was to plunge, pull the saw out, move forward, plunge again, pull the saw out, move forward. And I came back, made one pass with the saw, basically connecting all those plunge cuts together. That worked really well. Here's one of our ledges on there, scrap of plywood. So that's the idea right there. We're good to go. So let's do these two right here. Obviously I can't get the drill in there, so we're gonna put the board on the inside, screw it from the outside, and then put this one on. Let's get it done, bud, I'm tired. And finally, after all these hours, this is what we've been talking about. You can see our ledger strips, our 2x4s, screwed to our main 2x10s that we've notched. There's a piece of plywood. It's gonna sit in there just like this, and our sub base for our shower is gonna be built up off of that. Now, because I was having all those saw troubles, I don't have a reference here that I can measure off of to get these perfectly flat all the way across. So what am I gonna do? Well, as you can see, we pulled out the old laser again. We've got it set up over on the vanity. Now the laser line is 33 3/4 inches above my finished floor, right on top of my tile. Remember that 2 inches we talked about earlier in the video? That's how much farther below the tile this plywood needed to be. I had to add the 2 inches. Now I'm sitting on top of the plywood and I'm at 35 3/4, right where I wanna be. But I still have to account for the thickness of the plywood to determine where the top of this 2x4 goes, and that's another 3/4, right? So if I put it there, I should be at 36 1/2, and I'm perfect. So 36 1/2 inches is the measurement we need from the top of our ledger to our laser beam. Went outside and grabbed the scrap 2x4, and we put a mark, 36 1/2 inches. All we're doing now, I'm presetting the screws in my ledger. I'm holding it in place. Jordan's got the story pole on the ledger. He's telling me to raise and lower. When we're perfectly on our line, I drive the screw in. We do one end of the board, then the other, and then drive the 2 screws in the middle. And using that system, the tops of all these ledgers will be perfectly in plane. All right, bud, we got 4 more to do, and we put our plywood in. Can't slide our plywood under here because we're hitting the screws they use to attach the backer board. So I'm just getting under here with my DeWalt end nippers, nail pullers. That's pretty soft. That's not a screw. They nailed the backer board down. Didn't even use a backer board screw. Knuckleheads. Alrighty, gang, all the plywood is in. We even drilled a hole for the plumber so he has a target for his drain location. And if I look down there, of course, there's a water line right in the way. And we left the plywood loose so he can simply pull the plywood up and do all his work from right here, access under the house so he doesn't have to crawl under the house. That's gonna save him a bunch of time and us a lot of money. So I say we catch you guys tomorrow when the plumber shows up. All right, it is the next day. The plumbers were here bright and early this morning. Well, 8:30, right? That's kind of bright and early. 2 hours later, they were picking up their tools. This 4-inch line heading that direction is just a clean out access on the side of the house. And this fitting right here is a combo. It was laying on its side to pick up the tub drain that was here. They cut off the old one, added a new one pointed straight up, caught the new shower drain right here. And that was it for the drain work. And then you can see right here, they tied into the hot with PEX right here. They tied in the cold with PEX right there. Fed our brand new valve. That'll be very easy access from the side. And then this line goes around under the house, pops up over here for our shower head. A lot of comments about putting in body sprays and rain heads and all that. But remember, gang, my mom, she needs it simple, right? One turn and it's on. Got my saws going, put it on my blocking on this back wall so I can have a grab bar 36 inches above the finished floor wherever I want here. Can also put one here. I also insulated the wall. So I think we're ready to keep going forward, bud.
Cool, man.
Here's the last piece of plywood. Let's put it down. You can also see I added a row of blocking in the middle here just to strengthen that. And after we put this down, we're going to show you our technique that we're going to use to tie all the old work and the new work together and make this shower very strong.
Very nice.
All right, last piece of plywood is in. We're getting close to the end of this project. Now we got this gap right here, and we have the gap because here's our original subfloor and here's our new subfloor, which we lowered for the shower. And I want to fill that in. I can actually feel a nice cool breeze coming through there. So we've cut these blocks and I'm going to drive it in there. And then as you can see, we intentionally left this plywood a little wide, and that's going to allow us to drive a screw through this plywood, through this block, into that plywood, and lock everything together. And you actually see we did it right here. And it's a great look at the end. It's gonna be very strong. Let me tap this in here. You'll see how easy it is. Nice.
It could also help for the pre-slope. That way you don't have your dry pack kind of going into those voids.
Right, it's gonna act like a dam.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, as you can see, we already did this side. I've got a couple more behind Jordan. So let's do those, and then we are ready to build this wall. All right, we got all of our blocks in, as you can see right here. So all of our new work is tied in with the old work, and it's incredibly strong. Now check it out right here. I forgot to leave a lip right here, but it's no big deal. We just used a grout removal blade on our oscillating tool and cut out this little triangle piece of tile right here, and that allowed us to put the screw right here to tie everything together. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna remove maybe 2, maybe 3, we'll see how easy this comes up, rows of this tile, extend our shower waterproofing onto our existing, and then start full sheets, and it's gonna look beautiful as it transitions into the shower and slopes towards the drain.
And why do you want to extend the waterproofing past?
This is a critical joint for me right here. I can't seal this really. There's nothing I can do to seal it. And we have this ragged edge right here. And these are all messed up. So I kind of have to remove these anyway.
Right.
So we might as well take it back a few more courses and extend our waterproofing as far as we can. So the last step for us is to build this little wall right here. We're all set to go. We're going to show you every step of the way. Let's go outside, get our 2x4s, and get going. All right, let's show you how to build this wall. Come on down here. I've already got the bottom plate cut. And this one is 33 inches long. How did I determine that? Well, it's just what our design requires, right? Every shower is going to be different. And what was driving the length of this was the width of my opening. I wanted a minimum of 36 inches. That's what the ADA, or Americans with Disability Act, requires. Now, I've actually got more than that. I got 39. But remember, by the time we put backer board here and tile on both sides, we're going to lose a couple inches, so my finished opening is going to be about 37. And that's going to work great, because my mom's small and the wheelchair is pretty small too. Now, I know that we don't have the 5-foot turning radius that the ADA requires, but it's going to be fine for my mom. And how do I know about the turning radius? Well, I worked at a retirement center for like 4 years, so I know all about that, putting up grab bars, all the stuff the elderly need, right? So funny story about that place I used to work. They did a multi-million-dollar renovation, and they spent $250,000 on this beautiful spa. And the centerpiece of that spa was one of those walk-in tubs, right? You walk in, you shut the door, you sit down, fill the tub with water, take your bath, drain the water, open the door and get out. Well, guess what? It took 20 minutes for that thing to fill with water. Our residents, they're elderly, they're sitting there in their robe and they're freezing while that warm water comes in the tub, and then it takes half an hour to drain. Now that thing had 3/4 inch water supplies and two 2-inch drains, but it was huge and it took forever to fill and empty. So nobody ever used it. It was $250,000 that nobody ever used. So that's why we're not putting in one of those tubs. The shower's gonna be great, but that was in the past. Let's jump to the present and start building this wall. We got our bottom plate down. Now let's talk about the top plate. Well, I actually have it in my hand. There it is, gang. You're like, what's up, Sudpack? What are you doing with that little chunk of wood? Well, the plan has always been that this wall is only going to be as high as the door. That way, all this natural light can pour over the top of the wall. The shower is going to be nice and bright. But I need to stiffen the wall here. I don't want it to flex, right? And crack the grout or crack a tile. So we're actually going to have a post right here that goes all the way up to this 9-foot ceiling. And this is where the post is going to terminate. As luck would have it, I do not have a joist right there. So we're going to transfer the end of our bottom plate to the ceiling with our laser, put this on the ceiling and mark it. Then I'm going to go in the attic, add some blocking in the attic. Then we'll attach this to that blocking and put in our post and finish our wall. All right, gang, back in my mom's attic. Now the bathroom attic is through that little hole. There's no other access except through right here. So I'm gonna crawl in there, take a measurement for the block. Jordan's gonna go downstairs, cut it for me, bring it back so I don't have to crawl out of there, put the block in, and then I think we're done. We can go downstairs and finish that wall. All right. Yeah.
You looking good?
Yeah. Hey, bud, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, cut me a block 15 inches long. Oh, come on. This is where I'm at, gang. This is my view. And there's the block I just put in. Screwed from this side and that side. All right, let's put the insulation back and I'm gonna attempt to back out of here.
And this is my view.
Woo! That was tough. That's gonna be the hardest part, building that whole wall.
Yep.
All right, let me put this insulation back right here. We'll get out of here. Oh man, that was rough. And I got all cut up right here. Check it out, dude.
Dang.
All right, there's our top plate with 2 number 10 screws in it. We pre-drilled them so we don't split this little guy. And hopefully that block is in the right place because I'm not going back. Nice.
Yep.
Beautiful. Look at that.
All you gotta do is pat it, huh?
Yep. Just pat it. Now the reason I use 2 2x4s instead of a single 4x4 post, all I can get locally in 4x4 is treated. And that stuff is soaking wet. When it dries out, you know what's gonna happen? That thing's gonna twist. Last thing we want is a 4x4 twisting under all that brand new tile, cracking it. So I got some nice kiln dried lumber. We're gonna pad this side out. Let's keep going. All right, framing is complete. Now check out what we did here. We put this board on top of the blocking for the grab bars, and that's the bottom of the niche that's gonna be inside the shower. We left this one loose so the tile setters can put it wherever they want. At least it's cut and I don't have to pull my saw back out. That's gonna be a super looking shower. Now we had a lot of great comments about what to do right here. A lot of people didn't like the wall. They wanted glass here or a curtain or nothing at all. But check it out. We got this door right here that's gonna open up and it would hit the glass. We could put a doorstop down, sure, but the wall, we felt like it was a much better suggestion. And I got seven women telling me they wanted a wall here. So it was much easier for Jordan and I to build the wall than to change their mind. And this is gonna be great for my mom. So the tile setters, they arrive at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. That's right, I said they. Jordan and I actually get a break on this one. Can't wait to see what a fantastic job these guys do. It's gonna be awesome, but don't worry, Jordan and I have our own shower at another project that we're gonna be tiling. So we're gonna share with you all our tips and tricks about tiling then. All right guys, when I was in the attic, I really feel like I earned a like. If you gotta crawl in an attic to get to your like button, make sure you do it. Smash it for Jordan and I. Leave us some of your awesome comments, ask us a question, subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you on our next video.